Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain a mystery thriller series called Behind Her Eyes from 2021. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The fifth episode opens with Adele and Louise getting up after their night full of lucid dreams. David is also seen in the morning getting ready and going to the office. Louise gets ready to greet Adam, who's finally coming back home. Meanwhile, Adele is doing drugs in the house on her bed. Louise's wait finally ends when Adam comes running into her arms. He has finally come back home and has brought a keyring for her as a souvenir. Ian gives her the wine that he got for her. The scene changes to Louise and Adam playing football in the field. They take a break, and Louise discusses her relationship with Ian with Adam. Sometimes people become bad for each other, and ending the relationship is the only way. Adam understands too. After they come back home, Sophie comes to visit them. Sophie asks Louise while having tea whether David fired her. Louise hesitates to answer, so Sophie can now guess what really happened. Sophie could pull out a perfect "I told you so" moment here, but Louise tells her to stop being like this because she still cares deeply about Adele and wants to help them. She has been in Adele's situation too, completely lonely and isolated. Sophie is upset with this, but Louise is adamant in her decision. So Louise tells Sophie to leave for today. Sophie can't believe it but leaves heartbroken. The scene changes to David, who's leaving the office after putting back Adele's file in its place. Meanwhile, Louise goes up to her neighbor and asks her to look after Adam for tonight. The neighbor agrees to look after him in exchange for some good liquor. Louise then goes on her journey to retrieve Adele's file from the clinic. It's pouring badly, but Louise doesn't care. She's now inside the clinic. Louise finally gets Adele's file. Inside, she finds a lot of documents from the past and some handwritten notes. In one note, David writes about how Adele just knows everything that she shouldn't know. He also writes about Marianne and how he's grateful that she didn't press any charges. Louise brings the file to Adele. She asks her about the notes. Adele tells her about Marianne, who had an affair with David. Later, when Adele confronted her, Marianne acted like Adele was the crazy one. Louise is shocked by how vile David is. Adele tells her that it all started when Rob came to visit them. David had killed Rob when he came to visit them. Adele takes her upstairs and shows her the painting of the forest. She explains how David had killed Rob here and they had to move from there because of this. David told her that Rob just left, but Adele knows that he would never leave without telling her. She believes that Rob's body is still in that land somewhere. After coming back home, Louise tucks Adam in for sleep and sits on the couch with Rob's notebook. Rob writes about how shitty his life is with his sister. He couldn't quit drugs because he didn't want to. His sister and others don't care about him and only about themselves. So one day, Rob stole all of his sister's money and left the house to go to Adele's. Adele is his escape from life. Louise falls asleep in the middle of reading Rob's notebook and wakes up in her beautiful dream. She starts playing with Adam when a white door appears. Louise opens the door, and she's in Adam's room. Adam is sleeping, and Louise is floating on top of him, viewing him in real life. This is astral projection. Scared, Louise jerks awake. After she wakes, we get another of these floating views, but from Adele. Adele also jerks awake, and she seems happy about Louise being able to astral project. Louise goes through Rob's notebook again, but the pages have been torn away. Louise then turns to the internet to look for Rob but doesn't find anything. But she finally finds the contact number of his sister, Elisa, and writes it down. The doorbell rings, and it's none other than David. David asks her to give the office keys back. Louise pretends that she doesn't understand. David tells her that everything's on the security camera. Louise, having no choice, gives the keys back. David warns her to stay away from his marriage. Otherwise, she'll get hurt, and also threatens to report her to the police. But Louise is not afraid of the police. The one who should be afraid is David, hinting about Rob's murder. David storms off and confronts Adele about this. Adele keeps pretending that she doesn't know what he's talking about, so David demands a divorce from her. Adele tells him not to say things that he doesn't mean, because he also knows what will happen if things get messy. David storms off without eating the lavish dinner that Adele prepared for him. After he leaves, Adele throws out the food that she put in her mouth. Flashbacks show Adele and Rob doing astral projection for the first time. Their souls roam around the whole mansion and even through the woods. After some wandering around, their souls come back to their bodies, and they both jerk awake. In the morning, they search about astral projection on the internet. It's when the soul is able to get out of the body when they're asleep, and the soul can roam around freely anywhere. But the condition is that to go somewhere in sleep, they have to be able to have an experience of going there in real life. On the night of the fire, Adele was astral projecting. She blames herself because if she had been in her body, she might have smelled the smoke and could have saved her parents. Rob tells her not to blame herself because she is not at fault at all. They hear the noise of a car, and Adele goes out to greet David. Rob also goes out and stands in a corner. David comes out of the car, and Rob is kind of shocked and kind of amazed by David. Adele introduces David to Rob, and she wishes that they could be good friends. At present, David is drinking in his room. Adele's footsteps can be heard coming towards his room, but she decides not to enter. The scene cuts to Louise, who's in her house calling Elisa. She asks Elisa about Rob for her research on the mental institute. Elisa tells her that he stole her money and left the house 10 years ago. She never had any contact with him since then. Louise remembers Adele telling her that David might have killed him. She's putting all the puzzle pieces in place now. Louise also starts suspecting that the fire that took Adele's parents' lives might have been arson that David committed. Adele's parents didn't approve of their relationship, and David's family was in dire financial crisis. So, Louise decides to post a letter to the detective that investigated the fire regarding her doubt about it being arson, plus the fact that Rob might have been killed and dumped by David in that land. Louise then gets ready and goes out to mail the letter. She hesitates a bit because the letter does contain serious allegations against David, but she decides to post it anyway. After coming back home, Louise is now seen reading Adam a bedtime story. Adam is slowly falling asleep, and Louise drifts off to sleep too. She gets her sweet dream again, and the door is also there. Louise slowly enters through the door, and we see her soul, or the green orb, leaving her body. The orb starts roaming around the house before finally passing through the door and going to her neighbor Laura's house. Laura is sitting on her couch with tea and some popcorn. She's laughing her pants off while watching TV. Louise's soul, or the green orb, floats around Laura. She checks every detail and even gets a peek of what show Laura is watching. But while she's doing so, she hears Adam screaming, "Mommy!" He's crying and screaming for her to wake up. Louise's soul rushes back to her body. It takes her a moment to wake up, and by that time, Adam has become a crying mess. Louise then comforts him and hugs him. After he's put back to sleep, Louise goes to Laura's place. Laura opens the door, and she's in the same clothes Louise saw her while astral projecting. Louise asks Laura for some coffee for the morning. Laura notices that Louise is acting weird, so she asks whether there's something wrong. Louise smiles, and Laura tells her to come inside. After coming inside, Louise checks the TV, and it's the same show she saw in her dreams. Louise comes back with the coffee and sits on the couch to think about what just happened. She notices a similar pattern in waking up from astral projection between her and Adele. She remembers all the times that Adele jerked awake, gasping for air in front of her. She also remembers David's note in her file saying that Adele knows things that she shouldn't. From the start, Adele knew who Louise was, and she intentionally approached her. And every time David and Louise were together, she was also there watching them. Now that all the pieces of the puzzle are in place, Louise is furious that Adele played her like that. That's how today's episode, full of twists, ends. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.